When two giants of this game, Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov, meet in a chess game, it always predicts some high-level chess. Well, although most of their games ended in a draw, and I think the overall Kasparov has a slight advantage in a score, we have to say even the games that are drawn, they have some contribution, they made some contribution in a modern chess theory. And not too often they have a resulting game like one side wins when they play each other in the tournament. Most of the games they are drawn. However, this next game is very, very rare for in the history of the chess, when two giants play and one of them loses in 20-some moves with a white. That's how powerful was Kasparov's opening preparation and how aggressive was his opening play. One little mistake and white was done. Let's go through this game. I remember the game was played in Linares, Spain tournament, very famous tournament in 1993. And I remember when this game was played, whole chess world was talking about this game. Let's go with this game. D4, knight f6. And when we talk about Kasparov and Karpov playing in the tournament, well, it's highly it's highly probable that opening will be Grunfeld defense or King's Indian. Here's the King's Indian played by Kasparov and Karpov's favorite Zemish variation. C4, G6, knight C3, bishop G7, E4, D6, F3, castle, bishop E3, E5, knight G2, C6. It's all, of course, the opening part. Queen D2, knight BD7, rook D1. We're not going to discuss this because this is rook D1 move was played many times and has been played and analyzed. And there is a reason why white does not castle, because black gets kingside attack, queenside attack. So rook D1 move was played before. So A6. And here Karpov made a move that is a very questionable quality move. He played d takes e. Now let me explain you why is this questionable move. Because obviously when you play d takes e, you don't expect your opponent to play d takes e, because then you go c5 and you're going to have some advantage. After knight a4 and knight e2 c3, white is going to be a little better. Obviously you expect black to play knight takes c5. But playing, now this is already going to be very sharp. White is behind in development. Even though this is a theory, to play this position against Kasparov, playing of his, this is a tactical genius, plus he has contributed to chess theory of the openings more than any player ever before in history. So when he plays this variation, you must know he knows something, and there is a big danger. That it was little careless of Karpov going for this variation. D takes e, knight takes e5, b3, and the b5. Now, what should white do in this position? If queen takes d6, then queen takes d6, and then rook takes d6 after bc, black is much, much better. White cannot capture because knight takes c4 is very unpleasant. Otherwise, black is threatening knight d3 check, and white is not doing well. So in this position, Karpov played c takes b, and Kasparov played a takes b, queen takes d6. And here is, you cannot say queen takes d6 is a bad move. Maybe white is in trouble after this move. But what is white to do? They are already way behind this development. They went for hold this variation to win a pawn on d6, and if they don't take this pawn, then black may move d5 and get very strong initiative. So queen takes d6 is practically forced. Queen takes d6, knight f2 d7, and f4. That's the position Karpov was going for, but he overlooked very strong move by Kasparov, is b4. And after b4, white has serious problems. Now, knight a4 is not good because rook takes a4. And after rook takes a4, there are a few opportunities white has. And f takes e, bishop takes e5, and this is not good. And what else can, if b takes a, then knight c4, also very, very powerful. And after queen d3, knight b2, getting the exchange back and having much, much better position. So in this position, white simply played knight b1. Notice that after f takes e, then b takes c, position is very difficult for white. Bishop takes e5, maybe a next move, or maybe rook takes a2. So white simply played knight b1. Now let's talk about this position. You can see that black is extremely active in this position. You see the a2 weakness. White's king stuck in the center and their pieces are undeveloped. Playing this position against Kasparov is highly hazardous to your chess. So let's see what happened. Knight g4, bishop d4. And in this position, black simply played bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, preventing knight e3, queen takes d4, and rook takes a2. Now you see the rook stands on a2 very strong, controls the second rank. h3, c5, white's queen must move. And where can the queen move? On queen d3, bishop a6 is very strong. And can queen d7 be played here? No, because after rook takes e2, or even queen h4 check first, g3, rook takes e2, it's a quick mate, because bishop takes e2, queen takes g3, and on king f1, knight e3, or queen f2 checkmate, and after king d2, queen takes f4, or queen e3 check, white is totally lost. So therefore, white played in this position queen to g1, knight goes to f6, white goes e5, and knight to e4. Now, queen h4 has to be prevented for any cost, because after queen h4, g3, and rook takes e2, this may be very dangerous, if not hopeless, for white. So white chose h4. But then black goes c4. Now you see they open more files and maybe creating the pass pawn. Now if b takes c, then maybe b3 followed by queen a5, totally disastrous check. So after c4, white went knight c1. Now simple rook b2 would have been sufficient, but Kasparov chose c3, which is also very strong move. Knight takes a2 and c2. Well, the best move for white would have been rook c1, and after c takes b, rook takes b1, knight takes e5. Black still has threat of queen d2 checkmate and very strong position, but that was the best continuation for white. White played instead queen to d4, and that loses immediately. After black played c takes d queen, king takes d1, and now knight d to c5. Now this is absolute murderous move. After queens get exchanged, white is totally lost. Attack is unbearable. Well, if white goes king e1 in this position, for example, then simply bishop g4, threatening rook d1 mate, and after bishop e2, bishop takes bishop, and knight g3 check, winning material. So in this position, white played king c2, then knight f2 creates very unusual mating net. After rook g1, bishop f5. Actually, after knight f2 move, white already resigned, but on rook g1 would have been bishop f5 check, king b2, and knight d1 check, forcing only move. It's king a1 or king c1. It doesn't matter. They both end with knight takes b3 checkmate. Very, very unusual game. Actually, it's very pretty game. Very powerfully played by Kasparov. And I have to, if there is any disadvantage of the game, just like in one of the games we did before, that white's resistance was not on very high level. Actually, one mistake, maybe it's not so much resistance in whole game, but one opening mistake, which happens very frequently when you play Kasparov. One little mistake in the opening and you go downhill very, very rapidly.